on the trail. It heals. Thank you, Tom. I feel like I should just say goodnight. That was but you know, as I've really gotten to become more immersed in the issues in town and talking to all different constituents and stakeholders all over the town, the one thing they keep telling me as a point of reference is Tom Jardine. And that's not just because of that. In terms of, yeah, when Tom was the mayor, we were heard. When Tom was the mayor, he actually attended these meetings. When Tom was the mayor, he actually showed up. So it's a real privilege to have that type of introduction endorsement from you, Tom, and because your name still means a lot here, even though you were like 12 when you were the mayor. I know, right? It's crazy. I do have like lots of people to thank, and I won't do a whole laundry list, but I first want to acknowledge the Democratic slate that's running with me, and I'm not sure where they all are. Is Linda Hapgood in the house? Ward 1 and former, previously Ward 2, but she's Ward 1, is Dawn Mackey in the house. I hope you guys get the opportunity to meet all of them here. I just want to put in a plug. There is a May 21st fundraiser with gubernatorial candidate Phil Murphy, and if you're interested in attending, spending time with him and all the other candidates, there is information about it in the back. But most importantly, I have to thank my family, and because this isn't quite what they signed up for. And I first want to acknowledge my son, Nick. Come here, Nick. Let me just introduce him. Nick turned 12 yesterday, and I told him there's no place else he'd rather be tonight. But he has really been a really good spirit, even when I told him that the police department would report to his mom potentially, and he still smiled about it. So thank you, Nick, very much. I have another daughter, Nora, who's not here. She had a volleyball obligation because that's the type of kid she is, fully committed and very compassionate. For those of you guys that know Nora, she rescues dogs. She spends her summers in the South getting dogs from high kill shelters. We're on our 80th foster dog, and I have ripped up furniture to prove it. And so, and she's an amazing kid. Hopefully all of you guys know that. And then my 18-year-old daughter, Grace. The reason you hear that cheer for Grace, she's obviously working right now on my campaign. She'll be working full-time on my campaign this summer. And Grace was really the inspiration for me to run. And when I was contemplating it, because I was frustrated with a lot of issues, it was Grace that really shook me up and said, you know what, Mom, you're always talking about making a difference. You always get out there and tell these women and girls to have courage. So just by running, you're going to make a difference. And when your 18-year-old daughter says that, you're like, okay, I'm in. So here I am. The most important person is my husband, Kip. And, we all knew he'd get the loudest cheer. This is definitely not what he signed up for. And for those of you guys know my husband, he is the most generous and kind and selfless person. I always say he does more random acts of kindness in 1 month than we all do in years. And as a typical offensive lineman, never wants credit for it. And anyway, and the irony of all ironies is he's such a generous, well-beloved guy. People would always say, Kip, you should run for mayor. So the benefit to the town, actually, is, we've got Kip, who we can deputize for all kinds of interesting things. So, anyway, so really thank you guys all for this journey. And as Tom alluded, some of you guys I know, some of you I don't, and I apologize if I'm repeating the story, but I always think it's important for people to really know me and really understand my values, so you can understand where my vision for the town. But I am the youngest daughter of 3 girls. I was the daughter of an Air Force pilot and a stay-at-home mom. When I was 6 years old, we got a knock on the door, and it was the Air Force chaplain telling us our dad wasn't coming home, that his plane was shot down in North Vietnam and he was killed in action. And so my mom, we were all clearly very devastated, but my mom now suddenly became the breadwinner of our family. And she picked us up from our Las Vegas home and moved us to Grafton, Virginia, where she didn't know anybody. And she proceeded to establish a career for herself and raise 3 successful daughters on her own. And I think my takeaway from that was really, I instilled in me this fierce independence, this strong, unwavering moral integrity, and really a fearlessness to challenge other people's expectations of what is possible, and particularly in the face of all odds, which is why I'm here. And in the face of like trying to challenge other people's expectations, it included an improbable career for me at HBO, which ultimately led me to the HBO's executive floor, overseeing our $4.5 billion US subscription business. And I soon developed a reputation at HBO for being one that could transform and grow businesses consistently. And people used to ask me, like, what's your trick? Like, what's your secret sauce to being able to do this? And I would say, actually, that's actually very simple. It's not any kind of thing that you do, it's the people, right? And if you actually can be honest and open with people, you teach them, or you listen to them, and you empower them appropriately, and you hold them accountable. When you do that, you create a culture where people feel valued, rewarded, and trusted. And when people work in that environment, anything is possible. Suddenly, people have courage to contribute ideas. They're not afraid of speaking up. They're not afraid of challenging the status quo. And my people-focused culture at HBO ultimately resulted in our best subscriber performance in 30 years, and some really pretty interesting, innovative products, HBO Go and HBO Now. So hopefully, you guys have all been beneficiary of some of that work. And having actually accomplished everything I set out to do at HBO, I really thought it was time to move on, because I honestly believe that at some point, it is time to create opportunities for the next folks to lead. And that's where I was, and I think a lot of it was, I didn't want to be that person that stayed too long. And we all know what happens when people stay too long. Groupthink sets in, people get insular, they get defensive. You hear commonly, we tried that before, that won't work here. We know that, right? So for me, it was important that I step away, because I think the best leaders know when it's time to move on. So I had to think about chapter 2. And what I thought chapter 2 was going to look like was, serving on some nonprofit and private sector boards, continuing to mentor entrepreneurs and women around the world, and setting up a leadership consulting practice. It did not include running for mayor of Westville. But then, I was spending more time around town. And like you, I was getting very frustrated with every for rent sign that seemed to be happening with increasing frequency. And I really hit home when Dinka, where Grace worked, closed in January. And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't buying the excuses that I was hearing. The retail paradigm has shifted. Oh, the rents are too high. You know, I ran a $4.5 billion business through lots of disruptions, right? And grew every single time. So I wasn't buying it. I recognized a culture of complacency when I saw it. And that's exactly what's happened. So hence, I decided that it was time for me to jump in. And you know, it's often because it's not for any ego reasons. I'm not a political, ambitious person, but it's really because I care so much about this town. We have lived here for 23 years. It's the only home my kids have ever known. And I have to realize, I do appreciate that after my dad died and we had to move, how beautiful it is to be able to stay in a community for a really long time. You establish long-term friendships that become lifelong friends, both our kids and us. And you soon learn that those friendships become the lifeblood of our community. For those of you that were at Greta's Run 2 weeks ago, you saw our community at its best. When we rally around a cause or a neighbor in need. And so I wonder, how come, or what if, we could unleash that community spirit to actually challenge or tackle some of our community's concerns? vacant storefronts, unpaved roads, right? When I look at Westfield, I see unrealized opportunity. I see it in the untapped potential of our residents, or in our landlords and businesses that are so vital to the town, and our town employees. And so I want to be mayor because I want to be able to create an inclusive and open government where everybody has a voice, where everybody matters. Because I see when you create that culture, what you're capable of doing together. And that's certainly not what we've experienced in this town for certainly the last 4 to 8 years.
Winning.
Thank you for that, Joe. And it starts with all of you. Our people is our community's strength. And so I want to actually, with your help, I want to be in charge and lead this community on our economic development efforts. And I think that we have an opportunity to collaborate and be inclusive for ways that we can drive new revenue streams, which does not include increased parking enforcement. Because that seems to be a popular attack. And you know what? And I will be an active listener. I, like Tom, I will be at every Westfield Downtown Corporation meeting. I want to be the one driving this. And I need all of your help and all of the talents in this town to do it. And you know what? I know this is a volunteer position, but I'm committed and dedicated to doing this full time. Because I honestly believe that Westfield is at an inflection point. It's at a time when you need someone who can lead us through and has the experience to lead us through and this type of disruption by creating cultures of inclusiveness and collaboration to drive growth and innovation to achieve a shared vision. And that's what I did my entire career. And that's why this challenge feels so familiar to me. And so you know what though, for me to win and get this slate on board, we need your help. And I'll tell you so sincerely, it is not going to be easy. And I know we all get excited, but let me tell you, they are a well-oiled machine. And we all know that. So we are the underdog and we know it. So what do I need? I need you to volunteer. I don't care, and you can sign up back there. We need people to write letters, we need people to knock on doors. If you've got any special talent that you think can benefit our campaign, we will take it. And you know what? I need your donations, and I'll tell you why. Because being new to politics, I am learning the benefits of incumbency. And they have resources in place that they can easily tap into and create this machine and go. And we are really grassroots in developing this from the bottom. So, and I realize I want to get the word out. I want to touch as many people as possible. And I want people to feel like they can be part of the resurgence of this town. And lastly, and most critically, I need you to vote on November 7th. Not just me, and I'll tell you why this entire slate of 5 needs to win. Because it's important to remind people that there are 4 current town council members who are not up for re-election. So if we can get our 5 elected, we will finally have a town council that has the diversity of opinions and voices that is reflective of our town citizens.